Welcome to this video, an initiative of the International Fire and Safety Journal. I'm John Cowling, your host, and in the lead up to the 2023 Intersec Fire and Rescue Conference here in Dubai, today we are interviewing Canadian firefighter and renowned expert in resolving serious fires in high-rise structures, Mr. Brent Brooks. Please join me in welcoming Brent, and thanks, Brent, for your time today.
Thank you, John.
Brent, your career spanning 28 years with time served with Canadian Armed Forces as well as the Pearson Airport before moving to the Toronto Fire Service shows a passion for firefighting. What drove you to a career in firefighting and specialising in high-rise firefighting?
Well, living in a big city like Toronto, we have over 3,000 high-rise buildings, and you're living in a city like that, and you're seeing fires, you're watching the news, and just my ability of wanting to help people. My entire family has a policing background, and I was kind of being pulled toward that direction, but I just really was more drawn toward the firefighting aspect and helping people. So I kind of broke that mold and targeted firefighting.
And that's a great, I guess, diversion from the sort of the law enforcement family. But what made you want to research and study high-rise firefighting versus other types of firefighting?
In 2010, I had about 15 years on the job, and I knew everything there was about high-rise firefighting. You couldn't teach me something else. And the 2010 Wellesley Street fire, we had 3 firefighter near misses, maydays. It was the high-rise crew that had it. We had 5 firefighter near misses. And if you ever get to a point in your career where you think you know everything, like I did in 1995, it's time for a recheck. And I certainly had that recheck. And since then, I know now that I will never know everything. But what I can do is help other people get educated, learn tomorrow's best known practices, and educate themselves to make it safer for firefighters and certainly for the occupants that we're trying to help. So it was really that fire that changed me and really drove my passion. And the more firefighters I meet, the more building designers that I talk to, it just keeps getting better and better. And I'm trying to succession plan now with who's going to take my role when I'm gone. And I have about 20 firefighters now that are ready to continue the research.
So you mentioned a couple of things there that I'm going to touch upon. One's this passion that you obviously have. And second is this, I guess, this educational knowledge transfer element where you're looking to assist, I guess, the construction industry and society in general to collaborate to better understand how firefighters respond with boots on the ground to these high-rise fires. What are some of the challenges and success stories along this journey?
It's been the international building code. It's been local building codes and firefighting tactics. And when we add those all up, there are giant disconnects. We look at what happened in London, England, with single staircases. We looked at stuff that happens in North America with moving smoke or getting into trouble with fire and exterior cladding. So how do we relay those messages, and how do we educate firefighters? And I always say boots on the ground to how these buildings are designed and what materials are being used to build these, and how do we get rid of occupants? When we talk about sheltering in place, every country I go to, they have a different view of sheltering in place. Do we shelter in place? Do we evacuate? Do we defer evacuation? But it's bigger than just coming up with a simple solution. You have to look at the building codes. So when in studying codes and studying tactics, I know in our city we've come up with a solution, and we can use that solution to help other countries, other fire departments. And then when it comes to the design aspect, that kind of goes hand in hand.
So you talked there a lot about design. You talked a lot about, I guess, your experiences, and you seem to sort of travel the world talking to different, I guess, teams of firefighters around the world, and you've got this wealth of knowledge. So you must be doing something different to everybody else around the world. How does this accumulation of experience and knowledge enable you as a firefighter to perform better, I suppose, and more efficient and more effective?
Well, the job as a firefighter, we have lots of roles. It's hazmat, it's auto extrication, it's first aid. And what was been unique about Toronto is that we made a dedicated high-rise unit. So every time I go to work, that's all I do is high-rise. And because I do that, because I get to analyze and really focus on one evolution, that helped us, because I'm not going in today to do auto extrication and forgetting about high rise or medical or hazmat. I'm going into work doing high rise, so we can, kind of maintain that muscle memory. And what we found were that firefighters were struggling moving large diameter hose, and I was able to train. We have 3,000 firefighters in Toronto, 3 different phases. So I've really trained 9,000 firefighters just in our city, plus all the departments around us. And we watched the ergonomics, we watched how they move hose, and we've come up with a solution on how to take 100 pounds of nozzle reaction to ground or to zero to be able to get the flows that we need for the type of fires that we're facing. We looked at past history, and we looked at what was burning in these buildings compared to what's building in these buildings today. And we realized that we need to get on top of the fires quicker. They're going to burn faster and hotter. So how do we change our tactics in doing that? Because we have 3,000 high-rise buildings in Toronto, and 100 of the, or over 100 of those we actually own as a city, we can go in and with an appointment, flow, test, play with these buildings and come up with tactics, because a lot of cities don't have as many high-rise buildings as us, and they're just not capable of getting in and putting boots on the ground, moving hose, flowing water, understanding how smoke moves, understanding how we're going to get evacuation process into the building. So when saying that, it is we're getting there. We're almost there now, as far as not the perfect scenario, but certainly for tomorrow's best known practices.
So it sounds like you're taking a very scientific, analytical approach to how to become more efficient and more effective. And I guess, for just to sort of, I guess, close this short interview out, what are some of the benefits that you're expecting, you're anticipating by your participation in this fire and rescue conference?
I think I'm going to bring a lot of information to the table that's going to open the eyes of other fire departments and designers and engineers and architects, that'll get them maybe thinking a little bit differently on what's really happening in their buildings when they're on fire. And if we can change maybe the mindset or their views and say, you know what, that theory isn't true. Maybe we should, think about this type of tactic, or think about how to evacuate people from a building. So when they go to design these buildings, it's going to be better for everyone, the firefighter, the occupant, and the cosmetic look of the building, frankly.
Look, thank you so much for your time. I know time's short. I look forward to catching up with you personally at the Intersec Fire and Rescue Conference. Thanks again for your time today, Brent. And I'm sure the audience, like me, is fascinated by this subject. So once again, thank you very much. And I look forward to catching up with you in a few weeks' time.
Thank you, John. Can't wait to see you.
Thank you.